Well, the Prime Minister is standing by the Housing Secretary, who is facing calls to quit over his role in approving a controversial £1 billion housing development in East London. Documents have revealed the extent of contact between Robert Jenrick and developer and Conservative Party donor Richard Desmond before the Westferry Printworks scheme was signed off. Well, the pair first met in November after sitting next to each other at a Conservative Party fundraising dinner. The former owner of the Daily Express newspaper showed the Housing Secretary, it's alleged, a promotional video of his proposed development. 2 days later, Mr Desmond sent a text message to Mr Jenrick referring to a new infrastructure levy due to be imposed by Labour-led Tower Hamlets Council, which would have added millions to the proposed project. It's reported that he said he didn't want to give Marxists money for nothing. Planning permission was granted on the 14th of January. Mr Jenrick overruled objections from Tower Hamlets Council and a planning inspector. The following day, the new community infrastructure levy came into effect, meaning that Mr Desmond's Northern Shell company saved £45 million in additional charges. A fortnight later, he donated £12,000 to the Conservative Party. 4 months later, planning permission was rescinded following legal action by Tower Hamlets Council. It accused Mr Jenrick of bias in his decision due to his relationship with Mr Desmond. Well, the Mayor of Tower Hamlets has told Sky News that he thinks Mr Jenrick has abused his position.
We feel very aggrieved about this. We think all of the evidence, all of the inquiries and reports said that he should refuse it, and he imposed his own decision without proper explanation. So I think probably yes, but I think it's up to the Prime Minister, really, you know. And in the end, the reputation of the government and the Prime Minister, I mean, I've known Boris for many years, coincidentally, he needs to understand that if one of his ministers acts in a sort of rampant renegade fashion, that will reflect on him, so he needs to think about that.
Thoughts on this from our correspondent Ali Fortescue, who joins us now. Ali, welcome to you. Boris Johnson says, as far as he's concerned, the matter is closed.
Yeah, that's right, and he's reiterated this lunchtime that he has full confidence in the Housing Secretary. I think at this stage, unless we see a Conservative frontbencher criticising Robert Jenrick, I think his position will probably be safe unless any more evidence comes to light. But, you know, you detailed there that very complicated timeline, and I think at the very least you can see that this was that certainly Richard Desmond had access to the Housing Minister, that he had his number after meeting him at a dinner, that they were texting, and I think there is real concern that whether or not he loses his job, him being on the front page of most of the national newspapers this morning does look really quite bad. And I spoke to a former cabinet minister today who said it shows naivety on the part of the Housing Secretary. But as I say, the Prime Minister is standing by him, as are senior ministers rowing in behind the Prime Minister. Let's have a listen to what the business minister had to say a little earlier on today. Nadine Zahawi, here's a clip from him.
What Robert Jenrick wanted to do, rightly, is build more homes in London. By the way, the Labour Mayor of London has to make a decision on the percentage of affordable homes and the viability of any scheme. You've got to make sure these schemes are built rather than just talked about. You know, it's a disgrace that boroughs like Tower Hamlets Planning Committee have to close early because there's lack of business. We need more homes built. It's only right that they are built. Robert Jenrick's absolute energy and focus is on getting more homes built. This matter, I think, has now been laid to rest.
Worth saying this isn't the first controversy to surround the Housing Secretary. You'll remember recently he was caught going to Herefordshire during the lockdown. Some criticised him, suggesting he had broken lockdown rules, something that he refuted, but that was on the front pages. And then later on, there were two other allegations of controversial planning applications, including when he granted access at the Jockey Club in Surrey for planning application to be allowed there. So this is not a Secretary of State who has been free of controversy. I think whatever way you look at it, his position is going to be in the balance potentially at the next reshuffle. But worth saying, he has always said that whilst this may look bad, there was no intent on his part to give favourable treatment to Richard Desmond.
Ali, thanks very much.